What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. I want to break it down on what's been really happening with NIO the last couple of trading days, why it's been moving higher, and if this is a true reversal or not. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is up 1.1%, showing the second day that it is alive. 503 the low, 518 the high, and 22.5 million shares being traded. Of that volume, most is coming from algorithmic trading because we only see one transaction on the secondary market above $100,000. It was a buy for 226,000, roughly around 11 o'clock, but still institutions aren't really doing too much with NIO. Coming from a macro standpoint, there really hasn't been that much data from China. The American side, we did have two data points, so PCE and Michigan consumer sentiment both came in line with the forecast. So the market seems somewhat torn on this, only because it doesn't really move the needle all that much. So still a 87.2% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So again, kind of still the market's stuck in limbo. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because NIO gets moved through, again, algorithmic trading. Coming from NIO though, nothing for data points, no press releases or anything like that. There was one thing that did come out that I wanted to share with you that kind of has helped NIO and Chinese stocks in the past, and that is positive trade talks. So this came out early this morning, and this most likely is exactly why NIO had some pretty good momentum during the pre-market, but it looks like China's VP did have a constructive call with Besant and Greer. And this is something that the market hasn't really cared about, or really because we haven't had that much in updates, but we've seen trade talks really move the market quite considerably. This is the current layout right now between China and the States for tariffs for the exports. So potentially, if there was a constructive call, and let's say we start talking about lowering the tariffs on China, if again, best case scenario, that would really push both sides, Chinese stocks and American stocks, higher. And I get it, I always get this comment every single time, so I'm going to address this straight away. NIO doesn't ship to the States. That's always one comment I get, and you are 100% accurate. But trade and tariffs are so much more than just if a company kind of sends vehicles, for instance, to the States or vice versa, right? Because this whole tariff type of scenario is really showing that it affects consumers. And if consumers are struggling, let's say in China, because they're not exporting as much as they once were, consumers are struggling, and then the likelihood of them going out to buy a vehicle diminishes. That is how NIO does get influenced. So again, if there was some positive discussion that was had, and let's say we have this lowered, then you could see the both American and Chinese stocks moving higher. Aside from that, the only thing that kind of came out was this. It's not really any reason to buy NIO or sell, but it looks like NIO said that two bloggers in China were ordered to compensate and also issue public apologies for defamatory statements. Interesting stuff. I think that's also NIO is partially at fault of all this because their management and other people, they just gossip way too much. And so that leads to a lot of grayness, and a lot of bloggers possibly can just make up or misinterpret data. So again, stick to the facts, in my opinion, just do your own due diligence and all the other fun jazz. But wanted to kind of bring this up as more of a fun FYI. Aside from that, shorts. At the time of doing this video, they are increasing 749,000 shares, 11.28% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 156.18 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow minimum is back at being negative, so that does mean that there is a broker or brokers physically paying people to short NIO. That did start yesterday, and I don't think it's any coincidence that shorts are increasing today. You have that manipulation with the cost to borrow minimum being negative, and you have some open interest. So I'll go over that in about 1 minute. But today, 1.7 million in calls, 817,000 in puts, and then 52% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. So very low volume for the options, and that's been kind of occurring more and more. So you can kind of see that right here. So only 2.5 million so far today. A couple big days the last 2 days. So especially with NIO showing some signs that it was alive. You had 14.9 million there, 15.1, but generally this is very small in comparison to where it once was, like 20s and 30s and so forth. So definitely interesting stuff. From a bull standpoint, you see consensus for it to really recover to that 5 to 550. Bears are anticipating for it to kind of break down to that 5. One thing to take notice though is this, so the open interest. So you have 13,000 at that 5. So I feel like that right now is on the table, and this is why shorts are trying to increase and suppress it below 5. So don't be surprised if near the end of the day you see it just start to go down, because that's probably what shorts and their plan is going to be, because they would rather have most of this expire worthless. But aside from all of that though, quickly popping over here, these are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool. Dark pool is often enough used by shorts and hedge funds. So again, shows that shorts are fairly active today. Aside from that, with it at 506, still trading between this S1 and this S2. So this is one reason why NIO did start to move higher yesterday, because it bounced off of this S2. So that 473, very strong support. So that's again something to kind of keep in mind going forward if it is retested. But every time a stock does bounce off of a very strong support or resistance, usually you see some level of consolidation. So that is exactly what is happening today. But aside from all of that fun stuff, 526 is going to be the next one to really watch for, the next point. Aside from that though, on the actual chart itself, you see just not really much going on, in all honesty. It is currently flirting with that 200-day moving average, so it had a nice little burst higher, but right now on the table is this. So best case scenario, it does close above that. But aside from that, no real articles coming out. Looking at the flow, you see AI being a very big force, as per usual, but there hasn't been any new analyst ratings or anything along those lines. So NIO's just kind of at the mercy of the broader market, but hopefully if there is some tariff talk and it is productive and moving towards, let's say, cuts, then that would be huge for NIO and again, just a lot of other stocks, even though NIO once again does not ship to the States, just to be fully clear. So let me know your viewpoint on NIO. Did you buy? Did you sell? What have you been really doing with NIO? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.